Hello, I'm Shireen Hashim, the CEO and founder of the award-winning Fashion Community Week in San Francisco. Our platform offers support and opportunities for emerging and underrepresented fashion designers. Today, we would like to introduce you to our first ever interview series, Fashion Community Speak. In this series, we will be interviewing global fashion designers and industry experts that will share topics such as current affairs, future of the fashion industry, as well as their expert advice with you. Today, our guest is Christopher Ategeka, an award-winning serial entrepreneur, as well as the founder of the brand Accent, based in San Francisco. Chris has won many international awards and has been featured on some of the prestigious platforms such as TED, United Nations, Forbes, and has been honored by the World Economic Forum as a young global leader. Welcome to Fashion Community Speak, Christopher. We are utterly excited to have you as our guest today. So how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Great. So, I'm sure everyone is excited as much as I am to hear from you, to hear about you. How about you start with telling us a bit about yourself, such as who is Christopher? What is the brand Accent and the type of collection that you produce?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Shireen and your team for putting this together. Appreciate you very much. So who am I? Well, I would say I'm a son, I'm a brother, and most important, I'm a human being. Out in the world, I am an entrepreneur, I'm an engineer, and a lead designer for a fashion brand called Accent. So Accent is an ethical, sustainable fashion label. It's based in San Francisco, California. And we design both men and women's like slim fit blazers for the lean look, the lean professional look. We design for young professionals, tech executives, movie stars, and sports stars, and anyone really who is interested in looking clean. Our mission is to make you look good while providing a gift of access to opportunities to kids in underserved regions of the world. As we like to say at Accent, accent equals access.
Wow, that's amazing. I had actually forgot to mention earlier, you had launched your collection, your first collection with us 3 seasons ago. And it was
Absolutely, yes.
such an amazing collection. It was so vibrant, so elegant. And in fact, Christopher had showcased with us twice on our Fashion Community Week runway. Of course, we will be sharing some of your work with us on our social media so people get to see your beautiful collection. Now, tell me a little bit about the charity aspect, if you want to elaborate a bit more about it. I believe it's the Accent Foundation. Am I correct?
It's Accent Philanthropies. Yes.
Sorry, Accent Philanthropies. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, great question. Thank you. So with our work at Accent, we aim to improve the welfare of vulnerable youth in underserved regions of the world. I'm a former beneficiary of such a type of generosity after I lost both of my parents at a young age. It's kind of a way of paying it forward for me. So with your purchase, when you purchase an Accent brand, we partner with a few individuals across the globe, and Accent gives access to opportunities. And this manifests itself in two ways. There is a way of giving young folks access to education, and this is mostly paying their tuition and also providing physical products like scholastic materials so they can access the education they can afford. And then the second component is vocational training. So we give a second chance to youth who dropped out of school because they couldn't afford it, or maybe somehow the system failed them. Through our partners, we focus on on-job training, vocational training. So things like tailoring, mechanic, carpentry,
What?
you know, so that we can support individuals who dropped out of school, but they have other talents that they could offer to the world. So it enables them to make a living right after they graduate.
Right, to become independent.
Independent,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so amazing, Christopher. I didn't know this aspect of your philanthropy. I I have a whole more no, a new respect for you. I mean,
Thank
wow,
you.
this is really so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing a bit more about it. Now, I wanted to let's talk a bit about your background. Considering that your background is not from the fashion industry. I mean, I know, but I know everybody else wants to know. So please share away.
Um, yeah, so it's fascinating the way I got inspired to start Accent. It's kind of like inspired by two components, and they're both part of my life. The first component is my grandmother,
Wow.
and the second component is Silicon Valley. So, being an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, it has a little imprint on you as an individual. So, as you know, if you go to New York City, you'll find suits and ties on Wall Street, and that's the East Coast style, right? And then you come here on the West Coast, you find t-shirts and jeans.
That's so
So I
true.
felt, I felt like there's a huge opportunity somewhere in the middle where you can create a clean, casual look. To give
But yet stylish.
people that's exactly. It's good for the office. It's good for meeting on, going to a meeting or maybe even going to a date. So my grandmother taught me how to sew when I was young,
Wow.
and she's also kind of one of those OGs of recycling. She would not let any piece of fabric go to waste or go to downstairs. So she always found a way to sew pieces of cloth into something that's useful. So one of my treasured pieces of cloth outfit really I've ever owned was made by her. And this was a sweater. I call it the sweater of many colors. It was multicolored. It's because she was able to repurpose many thrown away pieces of fabric and made a beautiful sweater for me.
We need to see this
In
sweater.
Yeah, I will pull a picture, an old pictures. I was very young. But in a way, she inspired me to become the sustainability warrior that I am today. So when I founded Accent, the drive was to build a product and a brand that has positive society change and sustainability at the core. Okay. All garments are designed and made with the ethical and sustainable standards in mind. They are produced in limited quantities in order to combine value with quality. It's a place where we make pieces that are clean, presentable, sustainable, and very powerful. So that's Accent for you.
Wow, so amazing, so amazing. Not only the collection is a wondrous collection from outside, but behind the scenes, how you are producing each pieces is just marvelous. So, you know what? I'm so
Thank you.
excited to see your any upcoming collection that's coming up. Of course, if you'd like to share a bit about it, please do. But since we are on the topic of sustainability, I wanted to ask you something. Of course, fashion industry is the number 2 most polluted industry in the world, but of course, people are getting a lot more conscious in their shopping, in choosing the garments, the brands that are more sustainably, more ethically made. Now, due to the current pandemic, there has been even a bigger focus on sustainability because consumers are adhering to more and more sustainable choices in their daily lives, specifically now shopping for apparel. Do you think that this is here to stay, or the pandemic reverses and everybody goes back to back to the old habit of shopping?
Well, and like I mentioned at the beginning, really, at the core, Accent sits, um, at the plate and the foundation of sustainability. So, I truly believe the future of fashion and the future of humanity is and must be regenerative and must be sustainable, period.
Right.
Anyone operating outside of this mindset will be left behind. And I believe that all the brands must work to improve every single aspect of their product life cycle. They must use sustainable raw materials, store and transport clothing responsibly,
Right.
and do their best to ensure that items can be repaired or recycled. Our humanity depends on it, and our planet depends on it. So it's here and it's here to stay.
And it is our responsibility, most importantly. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that, because I feel like that is the mindset that we should all, not only from the fashion designer perspective, but as well as the consumer perspective, that it has to come as a merge for us to, as a community, to make a better, a cleaner environment, a sustainable environment for us, Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. So now, I want to ask you a bit back to that question of, are you currently working on a collection?
Um, yeah, no, so somehow the pandemic put us in a different mindset where you
Right,
have to kind of
right,
start dreaming up new designs and come up with new thoughts. But normally when you're designing something, you're gearing towards a show of some kind. And now that all shows are put to pause, I'm doing mostly design work on paper, but I haven't done a whole lot of the sewing part. So as soon as the world opens up, we have a few things in the making that I will let you know about.
wonderful. That's actually a lot of designers are on the same boat. And then one of the other elements that I've heard, I mean, of course, there's this spring, summer, fall, winter collection. As you've mentioned, since all the shows are canceled at the moment, a lot of designers are also taking a step back and thinking to create something called the seasonless collection, something that is not dictating to the color, the patterns, or what we had foreseen for that current trend is no longer a trend, because the trend has been missing because of the current stop in everything that's happening. So that actually brings me to my final question for you, that I am sure everybody who is viewing is probably dying to hear from you some of your expertise and advice. So to be more direct, do you have any advice you would like to leave forth for the audience, specifically the emerging fashion designers who are watching you right now, that um, in the area of how to cope with current pandemic and all the social changes that we're living in, and how to overcome and stay afloat with their fashion businesses? What is your thought? What is your advice as being a successful fashion brand owner?
Um, Thank you. Great question. My advice to upcoming, fashion designers is that we really need to reevaluate and redirect your energy. Um, it's an amazing time right now to create, dream up new ideas and new designs. Um, the next thing I would advise emerging and designers is that normally people say cash is king. I want to say cash is queen as well. Keeping it simple. Think cash flow. Reduce costs where necessary. Cash flow is the life and blood, and if you manage it well and manage your cash flow effectively today, you'll be in the position, or you position yourself as well to be, ready to go when the upturn happens.
Sure.
And lastly, perhaps, the best advice I can give, if I may say so, to all the emerging designers out there is that tough times never last, but tough times never last, but tough people do. I want to repeat that because it's very
I need
important.
to write that down. Could you please repeat?
I will repeat that because I think it's very important. Tough times never last, but tough people do.
That's it. That's going to be my slogan now.
Absolutely.
I'm stealing that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now with the pandemic, we all went down together,
Right.
and we're all gonna come back up together.
Right. Yeah,
If
we're
you
in this
stay
together.
focused, absolutely. Yeah. If you stay focused, your long-term success of your designs and your company will thrive, and they will be around if you stay focused and know that you're not alone. So this crisis will end, and the actions you take now should position you to prosper as we come to the other side of the crisis. So don't, be down on yourself, and just know tough times never last, but tough people do.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, Christopher, that was just absolutely amazing. And you know what? I've got to learn so much more about you today. And thank you so much for being with us today. So I just want to share something with the audience that this video is available under Fashion Community Week on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you go to any of our social media platforms, you will see the times. But and it's going to be every Thursday and every Friday on all of these platforms. So stay tuned every week to see all of these wonderful, wonderful fashion industry tycoons such as Christopher to learn, to hear and then share with everyone in this industry. Thank you so much for watching us today, and we will see you next week. Thank you, Christopher, for being with us today. Have a wonderful week, and see you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.